All right, well, welcome out to our COVID discussion for today. And this is going to be just an open discussion. And so I'd like anybody and everybody to share information that they have, questions, and we'll see if we can't figure out some solutions together. And then if there are some things that we don't have answers for, then myself and the rest of the system staff will go and we'll do some research and find some answers for you, hopefully. So I want to begin this morning by developing some questions here that you guys have specifically that we can look at and possibly answer. So let's start with questions. Who has some questions?
My concern is about handling of the handling of the books when the students bring them in. How long do they have to be quarantined? How do they need to be cleaned?
Okay.
Handling of the books, I guess.
Okay. I'm just going to put books. Gotcha. Okay. Anybody else?
George, one of the things with handling the books is how much space do you have in
Right.
which to handle the books,
Right.
and how much traffic do you have regarding that? So those are all considerations.
Yep.
That
And
I have a question about where our concern is what is going to happen when we have kids doing virtual schooling and they have no parental guidance and they come to the library to just play games. We've made some decisions already. We're going to hope to see if that works out, but that is a concern.
basically children after school, right?
Not after school, during school.
Oh, during school. Gotcha.
We had that issue last year too, where kids
Okay.
were sick, and they stayed home, but they came here.
Ah, okay. I gotcha.
So
Okay.
the board, we have discussed what we're going to try at the beginning, so we'll see.
Okay. All right. Other questions? Boy, everybody's quiet today. Come on, Sharon, do you have a question?
Are you mocking me because I'm always asking stupid questions?
No, you never ask stupid questions. That's why I was asking you.
I think we're good to go here. You know, where we're still at 0 cases here in Wallace County, you know, it's just a matter of how far do we push the limits as far as, you know, mask or no mask, requiring hand sanitizer or not. Do you limit the kids on how much time after school that they come in? Those types of things is that we're still trying to navigate, as it were.
Okay.
I have one. How are you using your meeting rooms? Or are you?
We are, for now, just by the nature of the meetings, they're not over like probably 10 people in there at a time, but they're for sure social distancing and things like that.
I know we came up with a policy, but I just wondered what other people were doing. And 20 people, individual little snacks, no food other than packaged commercial snacks and sealed drinks, and what did we say? Appropriate or social distancing, and then they clean up, and yeah, we sanitize. But I just wonder if there's anything else that people are doing.
Okay. Sarah, anything? Nathan?
No, I'm going to go to at 11.
All right.
Okay. I just saw you.
Barb, do you have anything?
No, I'm only going to be here a short period of time.
I guess
Hey,
my
George.
other question, George, is I'm just curious about the libraries. Do they have special people that clean, or is it still the staff that are cleaning, sanitizing, things like that? And do they close early to do that, or how do they work that?
Okay, good.
My question, sorry, I took a little while to find my unmute button. Story time. What are ideas and thoughts on story time?
Okay, very good. Cleaning and story time. Excellent. And looks like Nathan had the same thing. What is everyone doing for story hour? Programs and programs for children. Okay.
I know for us at our board meeting, we decided for the story time and like to wait a few weeks into school and see how that goes. But if that all goes well, you know, what then?
Right, sure.
Right.
Okay. All right, well, that's a pretty good list. So why don't we get started and see what we can come up with. And then as we go, if anybody else has any other thoughts or questions, please share those. So let's go back to the top for books, which was a very good question, Jana. So right now, the Kansas Courier and Interlibrary Loan are saying 4 days for quarantine. There is an IMLS study. I don't know. I think I've tried to share that with you guys, and it pretty much confirmed that the 4 days is how long stuff lasts on the books and things. As for cleaning, it's not recommended just because, especially on books from other people that you get on Interlibrary Loan, because those are their materials and you don't want to do something to damage or cause issues with their materials. For your own materials, if that's something you want to do, you're welcome to, but I don't think it's necessary if you're going to do quarantine. Now that goes back to kind of what was said by Melanie, is do you have the room that you can do quarantine? But there are ways to be creative with that as well. You can throw everything that comes in on one day in a tub and then label it as, you know, this day, and know that 4 days later, then you can get those items out and start checking them in and taking care of everything there.
So the books,
George, what we clean our own books when they come in. We put them in a tub. They're on a cart. The tub, people put the books in the tub. The returned books and returned items do not go across the counter. We ask them to put everything in the tub. So only thing that goes across your counter is your clean items. You take the dirty items, we take it to the back room because we're using our meeting room now, so we can't spread it out. We clean our items. We do not use our puzzles, our Legos, our other touchy stuff. But we clean our own. We don't clean Courier items, and then we set them out. We use an alcohol and or Clorox wipes. Of course, we have everything covered, either with contact paper or cover. So if it's not covered, then we would have to quarantine it. But we've had good luck with it, but we just can't set it out for 24. We won't have room for 24 hours even, let alone 4 days. So Nancy stacks her stuff up, and if she needs to, she puts it somewhere else. But that's the best we can do.
And so that's the way they're doing it.
they can be touching in this bucket or bag. That's no problem, right? They can all be stacked in for that day in a bucket.
Yes, as far as we know, they're working. IMLS is having that company that's been doing the testing. They're going to do it now with items all stacked together, just to see if that changes how long the virus lives. So we'll get those results probably next month, I think. For now, it seems to be working for everybody else. So.
And they don't need to be aired out after they come out of the box.
No.
Okay.
And I do want to share, George, that we have a lot of those black tubs, the ones that the medium-sized kits. So we still have some of those downstairs. So if people would like those bins, because then you don't have that expense. I mean, we can probably, I would say, send 5 of them, you know what I mean, to different libraries if they want to do the 5 days a week. And then you put the ones, especially at a school. I mean, you might not be getting, our smaller schools might not get tons each day, but that way you would know what they were.
Yeah.
And to go back to cleaning, I would recommend alcohol because it's going to be less damaging to your materials. Where Clorox wipes will start to put a film on any of the jackets and things.
And it dries faster too.
So, does that answer all of that question? Okay.
Figured if we really got a lot of COVID, then we might end up having to do something totally different, go back to, delivery, pick up and delivery.
Oh yeah.
So if it's if we still have light cases, then we'll continue to clean. But if it really were to ramp up, we would consider having to make some changes. That's the other thing.
Okay.
My question on the alcohol, is that straight alcohol or is that diluted in some form?
It's straight. And I believe it has to be, what is it, 80?
70%, I think.
I thought it was 80. Somewhere in there, 70 to 80. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have a comment on this that they'd like to share what they're doing?
Well, this is Karen, and I mean, we're kind of doing what Melanie's doing. We have a bucket for books to be dropped into, and we're fortunate that we have a big workroom, so we have tables set up, and we have carts for each day of the week, so that we clean them, we wipe them off our books, because we realized the first couple of weeks when we were doing it, when we weren't sure what to do, we realized actually how absolutely dirty they were. So we have continued to clean them off, and then we quarantine them for the 72 hours, and then they're put back on the shelf. But we are fortunate because we have plenty of room to do that.
And Nathan typed in the chat that they're doing the quarantine for 4 days. So
Yeah.
Good luck.
we're going to have the cleanest collections in the West, though,
Yes.
by the time everything's said and done, right? Okay. Anybody else want to share?
My other question, I guess, that might go along with books is on the ILL bags, the red bags, do we need to
Yes.
periodically clean those or wash those, or do we need to send them periodically to wherever?
If they're really dirty, then I would send them to Caroline at the Courier and let her go ahead and wash them. Let her know that they're nasty and they need to be cleaned.
Okay.
Very good question.
Are there any current restrictions on the Courier? Anything that I'm unaware of from being gone for the summer?
Let's see. Did you get the email about Lawrence Public Library? They had a staff member. And so he came down with the COVID, so they're closing for 2 weeks. I'm trying to think of.
Leavenworth or Lawrence?
Leavenworth was another.
Leavenworth.
Oh, Leavenworth. I'm sorry, not
Leavenworth,
Lawrence.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't see that one.
Getting my L's confused. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Caroline usually sends those out in email to let everybody know who's having issues and who's closed. But no, there really aren't any restrictions right now that I can think of, besides just individual libraries. Okay. Any other discussion about books? Do we want to kind of lead this into a discussion about, are you letting people go to the shelves and find their books and browse, or do we want to even touch that topic?
Well, we are allowing our patrons to browse thoughts, just like they always have.
Do you follow them with,
No, we do not. We have so few cases, and I can't even imagine that someone would come along right away and touch a book if it had droplets on it. It's
Yeah.
the minimal risk is, it's just too minimal. So we are allowing them to browse as they did before.
good, all right. Yeah, I was, we went and bought shoes for my kids for school, you know, and there was actually a lady there who was following us around. Every time we touched something, she'd wipe
Oh
it
my
off, and I'm
God.
like, oh my word, this is crazy,
Oh,
but that's all right. They're keeping their people safe, so,
yeah.
okay. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. Boy, Karen, this is a tough one. So
It really is.
what did your board decide?
Well, we decided that between us and our activity center, which is just a block from us, we've had this issue for several years during the school time. The children will come in and we'll say, well, aren't you supposed to be at school? And they'll say, well, I was sick, so, but my mom and dad are working. So we are, the board and the board for the activity center, we decided to not allow children in the library during school hours unless they're accompanied by an adult.
Okay,
And we're going to try that. We figured we could start out strong and we'll see how it goes. Now, if it's a homeschool family, they almost always come with their children.
right,
And if they're an older student that's doing virtual or whatever, but they don't come to do any kind of schoolwork. They come to get on the computer to play games. So they may come and get a book, but they can't play on these computers. We're going to try it.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
well, I think that sounds appropriate, you know,
I
if they
hate
don't
to do
have,
that, but
I know, I understand, yeah, but it's hard to be a constant babysitter because you get enough after school as it is.
and as soon as those kids are sent home from school because they have a temperature, and they have no one at home, this is where they come. So it's been an issue, and so we tried to work together with other entities to see what would work best for us, and we've decided that would be the best way to start it. And if we all do it, then we won't maybe have such an issue. And then when school's out, then they can come in. But
Okay.
we're gonna try it.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts for Karen? Just to,
Yeah, really.
I'm just curious, how often does that happen for you?
Very often. But mostly with the same family. We have several, and I guess it's not always the same, but we have several families that the kid doesn't feel good or doesn't want to go to school, is what I assume. And so they just run kind of wild. And these are second grade through 6th grade age group.
I mean, I've been known to, maybe it's inappropriate, to call the friend of mine who's a principal and ask them, is this person, I mean, one year we had the principal sending a kid to the library to do his schoolwork because he was out of control.
Yeah, that's
So
another
I have
issue.
now called up and said, so what's going on? I have a youth here and can't get a hold of their parents. What's happening here?
Yeah, I was told that they can't really give out that information.
Right. Well,
I mean, when I said I have called and they said, I'm sorry, I can't give out that information. So then you're kind of stuck with.
right.
But
Other than making rules like you do and say can't be here during the day.
yeah.
And if they were sent home sick, I'd say, well, then go home.
That's what we tell them too. We say, well, if you're sick, you need to go home. But well, there's nobody there, or I can't get there.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
because my dad dropped me off or whatever on his way to, yeah. Anyway, it happens frequently, and we do have children that are, which I do not agree with, but they are kicked out of school. And this is where they come to spend their time. So it's an issue.
I feel for you.
Yeah.
Me too.
But if anybody has any suggestions, we would, we'd appreciate it.
Bring back the truant officer.
Amen. When I worked at school, we had one, and boy, you didn't just skip school.
Well, with their policy now of not having the children there unless they're accompanied by an adult, that should help some of that, shouldn't it? During the day, at least.
I believe so, because I think.
Yeah, kind of a answer to a prayer right there.
We're hoping that will work.
Yeah.
So if that child shows up without a parent, how would you handle that situation? Just tell them you got to leave? How far would you go? Take it to call law enforcement?
Huh? No, I'm going to.
How far would you take it? Call law enforcement? Yeah.
Our policy is that you cannot be here unless you have an adult with you. So I don't think we'll get a lot of well, I'm not going to leave, but we might. And the problem is the parents are not very supportive. When we've had to call, they're not very supportive in the whole issue. So we'll see. We're hoping we don't have an issue, but with the GAC, our activity center, and us doing it both, because they have the same problem. They go from here to there, back and forth. And so we're hoping that with both of us working together, that we'll be able to nip it right away. And when school is not in session, then they're welcome to come at any time. We'll just follow the calendar.
Sure. Well, I'll put this out to a wider group and see if I hear anything back too, that might be helpful to you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, you betcha. Any other comments or thoughts for Karen? That's a tough one though, boy. Oops, got out of hand there. Okay. All right. Well, how far do we push the limits? That's a very good question. Sharon, any thoughts for her on that one? Because they are one of the blessed few counties. What, there's 2 now, I think, still, that's it, that haven't had any cases. What are your current limits, Sharon? Can we maybe start there?
Well, we have the hand sanitizer out. We have the social distancing with the computers. We have like all the obvious things with the books of quarantining them and things like that. The last time Dave was here, he said some libraries were limiting how long that kids could come into the library for, like, say 30 minutes or so. And with school starting, I said, we do have some that not really use it as babysitting, but that after school time, they're waiting for parents to get off work so they can go home. And sometimes it's several miles away. I know we have at least one situation that's that situation. So my suggestion was going to be to the board that maybe instead of doing, and we can just see how it works, is instead of doing that perhaps maybe we need to just say close to the public at 5:30 so that we would have time to clean. And we don't have large groups as far as the kids after school, generally, like maybe 15 at most. So that's not a major problem. But, like putting, like we said, talking about meeting rooms, of having limits on how many people can be in there, and do we put plexiglass out? Do we, how far do you stretch it?
Right. Well, and personally, I would probably have plexiglass for staff just for protecting your staff.
I think that is the plan, to get some,
Okay.
at least for maybe not the entire length of our circulation desk, but at least the main areas there
Yeah.
for the plexiglass.
And I think just little things like making sure the dirty books, as was mentioned by Melanie, don't come across your desk. Maybe having a separate drop bin for those. I really, at this point, I would say do things that you can to protect yourself and your patrons, but don't go overboard since you don't have any cases in your county. So just
On a related question, or maybe something along this line, I was printing off just a simple sign for the hand sanitizer, and as I was looking on Google to find one that's probably already done out, there was one and it had it called a compliance sign. Is OSHA or anything like that already forcing that issue on our state or anything?
not that I know of.
That word compliance just kind of not really threw me, but it was like surprised me, because I thought, well, I didn't know that we were at that point, that we had some compliance orders on things.
No, not that I know of.
You know, one thing that we found on the Can Live is, for us, is one library had, and maybe you guys are already doing this, little signs that at the computer that says "Don't sit here." That says something like, "Do not sit here. This computer needs to be cleaned." And we made a different color for tables that says, that we give to people when they're sitting at the table, so they'll leave it, and it says, "This table needs to be cleaned." That has been very well received by the public, and has helped our staff who are coming and going, and knowing what's going on. So that's been very helpful.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like
And
that.
you could have our sample. We just laminated 5 of each. So
Yeah, that's a great idea, Melanie.
Kind of one thing that we use as far as the computers is we kind of switched out chairs, so they just have the plastic folding chairs at the computer, so it's not very comfortable to sit at the computers too long.
yeah, we only have plastic. We wanted to buy some new ones, but we didn't. I don't think we're going to have enough money for grants and stuff. So we'll keep our plastics as long as we need.
Okay, any other thoughts for Sharon? All I have to say is it's definitely hard to find that line, right? So
Well, I think the majority of our county is how do we say this? I think they're over it. They're ready to move on. They're ready to go maskless, especially where we don't have the cases. And I guess I'm on the middle grounds of, hey, we do need to do some preventativeness to make sure that everything's a-okay and things like that. I had told the board, I said, one thing I guess I'm going to hold to is, or a couple of things that I'm going to hold to is, that if the school closes for any kind of sickness, whether we're talking COVID or stomach flu or something like that, that I think it would be wise, so that we don't run into Karen's situation, to just go ahead and close. Also, that we said for our staff that maybe we needed to check temperatures, so that if we needed to stay home as far as staff, that we could do that. And if we just ran out of staff, even though we have 5 capable people, then we would have to also just close.
now, do you require masks in the library?
We don't. We leave that up to the individual at this time anyway. Again,
Mhm.
if things were to change as far as cases or that type of thing, we would probably change it.
Okay. Well, sounds like you already have a pretty good handle then on where to go.
I guess kind of follow up with Karen, when we're talking about kids in the library, I did tell my staff, I said, I guess one thing that we absolutely need to jump on from the get-go is, if we don't require masks, that we absolutely don't allow them to that they have to respect each other's spaces, watch that 6 foot and things. And if they just don't, then we'll, whether it's for a week at a time, and say, hey, you broke it once, you're out of here for a week, you know, you broke it twice, because we don't know mentality or fear of what kids and adults are feeling. So if they break that rule, that's probably going to be a hard and fast one that we just won't tolerate.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay, excellent. Well, let's move on to meeting rooms now. So Melanie, you want to share with us what you're doing with your meeting rooms right now?
So we have one meeting room and of course the basement. The meeting room upstairs, we've limited it to 20. Of course, we have a whole bunch of furniture in there turned backwards so they can't use it because we don't have a place to put it other than the basement. And we still have, we still want to keep it open for kids after school if we can. So 20, limit of 20. Commercial foods that are in little packages like, you know, crackers and cookies, they're not going to Taco John's and bringing burritos. They're not going to whatever and bringing iced tea. They should have a little, you know, a sealed cup or something like that. They could probably drink a Coke, but we'd prefer that people really not have a lot of food, but that if they do it, it is commercial so that it is clean and not a brownie put in plastic bags so that everyone's sharing, because we don't want to be the source of the spread. So that's kind of what our thought is. And then prudent social distancing. And we have the 20 chairs in the room, and so there's no other chairs they can use. And we have tables where they can spread out if they want. And we'll just have to monitor it and see how that goes. Our story time, I know Judy says, I can't guarantee that we won't get 20 kids. We'll have to kind of see. If we get more than that, she'll try to spread them out over a couple of days. So that's, you know, something that we're working on and is aware of. So we've had a few inquiries, you know, of our normal people who are used to huge lunches, and we just said, nope, can't do it. So they're a little sad, but you know, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens and go from there. I don't know what else to tell you guys, except for we're going to do our best. And then we go in and we're going to bring in we've just found that some of our garbage cans are kind of cumbersome for the staff to pick up and move. And that's just one more way for them to have to get infected. So what we're going to do is have a bigger bin or a bigger little plastic tub with plastic bags. So all our staff has to do is take the plastic bag and throw it away. We're trying to have less materials to have to touch. So that's one thing we did. We also have covered our drinking fountain. If somebody wants a drink, they can have a cup of water or something like that until we get touchless drinking fountains and bottle fillers.
Okay. All right, Karen, do you have any?
We're allowing our meeting room. We haven't had an issue with numbers. So we have now our meeting room right now, our story hour room is full because we're having a book sale. But the meeting rooms have been used just as normal. We're trying to be as normal as possible. We're here for the public. So with some safety precautions, and we try to wipe things down when they're done. But we haven't had any real issue with the meeting rooms being used. So.
Okay, very good. Let's see, Sarah, meeting room issues. What's going on with you guys? Uh-oh, Sarah, we can't hear you. Nope, still can't hear you, Sarah. I'm sorry. You might have to text it or chat it. I'll chat it. Okay, she's going to chat it. while she's doing that, let's see, anybody else? Nathan? Sharon?
Nothing new than what like probably Karen has said. We've had some books that are kind of for sale. They're getting ready to box those up, and for most of it, it's just a matter of people haven't needed the meeting room this
Okay.
summer, probably because they just have put things on hold for a while.
Right. Yep. And a lot of them probably using Zoom for meetings and things like that.
I might share an interesting story with when
Yes.
you're talking about Zoom meetings. We had a gentleman come through with his family and from Washington, DC, and he wanted to know if he could use a room for a Zoom meeting. And so we gave him, our Kansas room, and he was so appreciative. It was 1 hour long, and he was so appreciative of having that room. He left us a $50 donation.
Oh my word.
And I wanted to say to him, we have people that use our room on a regular basis that never donate anything. And he gave us $50. He said it was so wonderful. The internet speed was great. The facility was nice, and everyone was so nice. It was quite that was really nice.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I know it. So I was glad we were letting people use the meeting room.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. Okay, and Sarah typed in the chat here. We have a few tables set up for social distancing, etc. Most of the meetings held have not had more than 10 people. Okay. Very good. Okay, let's move on now to the cleaning topic here. And so, Sharon, you wanna give us a little more detail about that question?
Well, my question was, I assume that the staff are also cleaning, or I didn't know if they were bringing in special people to clean. Are they closing early to clean, or coming in early? I don't know what other people are doing.
Okay, very good. Karen, you want to start us off with this one?
We're not bringing anybody in. As far as cleaning the books, we do that on a regular basis as they come in. Cleaning the computers, as soon as someone is done, we are wiping them down, and so they're ready to go for another person. We haven't had, we try to alternate the use of the computer so that the same person's that a person's not using the same computer every time. We do have them spread apart, so there's social distancing. Cleaning, we try to wipe down the door handles of the bathrooms, the doors. Of course, we have hand sanitizer out, and most people do use the hand sanitizer. Sorry, my phone is ringing.
That's all right.
Anyway, then and then of course our children's area, we had slowly started bringing things out, and we now have everything. We have visited with many of the parents, and they're like, we're fine, just bring it out. So now we do, after a group of children have been in, we have divided the kitchen toys and stuff up into 4 bags, and we just take them back. We either clean them or set them to isolate them for several days. And then the clothing, the dress-up clothes that we have, we take home and wash, but we have 4 bags of those, and we just alternate that. We spray down our little climbing toy and spray that stuff down when a family leaves. But most of the parents are really like, don't worry about it. So, but we still do it. And that's about all of the cleaning. We do have a cleaning person that comes in twice a week that does the other stuff, but we wipe down our counters at night, or maybe once or twice a day, where we've got them pretty much where they can't even come up just to where they check out books. So but we do wipe those down frequently throughout the day. So that's about our cleaning procedure. The telephone, same way. When one staff member is done for the day, they always clean their keyboard, their phone, the phone, and so that the next person coming on staff would have a clean area.
Something I might put in as far as the computers go and the cleaning there. I don't know what everybody's using for wipes or what they're doing, but like George had commented, the Clorox wipes over time, you're going to start leaving residue and making the keyboard sticky. And in Hill City, Marcy got it's called Keyboard Cap. And you can get them on Amazon. And what it is a cover that stretches out over the whole keyboard. Medical facilities and other places use it. And it's like it's not even on your keyboard. It's clear so you can see through, you can type well. And I'm looking at it on Amazon right now, and their recommended one, and there's a 3-pack, and they're $15 to get 3 of them. And they recommend just using alcohol wipes and 75% alcohol. And you just wipe them off and boom, you're done. But it stretches out completely over the whole keyboard and covers it up. Marcy has them on all of her keyboards in Hill City, and she just absolutely loves them. And then that way you don't have to worry about debris, anything getting down in between the keys and laying in there where you can't get to when you clean. And I thought they were wonderful.
Would all of you be interested in having some of these for your keyboard? Because the system Dave and I were talking about buying some for member libraries.
We would love some.
Okay.
Yes, I would be interested.
Okay.
I think it would be interesting to try them and see.
Okay. Well, if all of you could shoot Dave an email letting him know how many you need, that would be great, and we'll get them ordered. Thank you, Dave, for sharing that. I'd forgotten about that. You showed me, and then I forgot. Yeah. So, Karen, you don't have your cleaning crews doing anything extra than what they normally do?
I mean, we didn't used to normally wipe down the counters 2 or 3 times a day, but
Right.
yeah, but no. And my cleaning people, they're basically, I mean, they do the bathrooms and vacuum and mop and that kind of stuff. So we're pretty much taking care of the rest of it.
Okay, perfect.
Is anybody using those sanitizing machines or getting ready to look into one of those?
Are you talking about the sanitizing ones that are books that you can put 2 or 3 books in and they're $5,500 and something dollars?
No, the ones where I think it kind of looks like, I mean, I heard about it's kind of a machine of some sort. It can be like a backpack version or just a smaller version, depending on how much size you have. And as you spray it, it will take care of all the germs. Or, I mean, it will. I don't know how it works, but our county bought one for the ambulances, and I think the schools were going to buy some. So I think we're looking into through a grant through the health department. I think it's the first set of Spark ones, I believe. That we will be able to have one of those. And I said, maybe, it's useful for beyond just COVID, that it would be good to use after story time as well. So I think that's what we're looking at is fine.
I know that our health department, our EMs, emergency management people were getting one from the Sparks. I hadn't heard about it. I might have considered it, but our board chairman is an EMC person, and he said maybe they come once a week or once a month or once every 2 weeks or something to spray for you. So who knows?
I know my wife's talked about them getting one out at the EMS, so, but I don't know anything about them, honestly. Sharon, could you get us more information about what they're looking at so that I can send it out to everybody?
Yeah, I can send it to you. I haven't bought one yet, but I can send the contact people. I think it's out of a company in Salina, I believe.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay, anybody have anything to add to the cleaning discussion?
I know, I mean, before we opened, we scrubbed everything. And then we have somebody that cleans a couple hours a week, and she does specific things, walls and bathroom walls and doors. And then we have our staff just regularly go through in the afternoon when they come in, and they kind of take about 15 minutes and find out what we've been doing. And then they go hit the highlights of what hasn't been done, and if there's something else that needs to be done, they kind of we have a list, and they look at it and go and clean something if we're not too busy. So it's been working. It would be nice just to have somebody 5 hours a week, but we don't have that. So
Right.
I just mentioned the cleaning stuff about cleaning early because I think it was just last week that I had a situation. And for those that don't know, here in Sharon Springs, we usually just have a staff of one. We just have one person in the library at a time as far as staff. And we've always had that, just, I guess, because we don't have that many patrons, overflow type thing. Usually it gets really slow that last hour, 5 to 6. And so, hey, not a problem, just hit everything, wipe everything down one more time and everything like that. And it was getting ready to storm as well. And the person was one of those that they used the restroom, and it was like, okay, oh gosh, I was going to deep clean that at 5:30, and they used it at like 5:40, 5:45. So do you stay late so that you can get it as clean as you need it? Or do you, like I said, maybe lock the doors to the public at 5:30? They can call us if they need a book or something like that, so that we have that time to really, what I call deep clean type of thing. Or do you stay later? I'm not sure.
Is it something you could do in the morning the next day?
That's what I ended up doing.
Okay. Yeah, I'd see that as probably being the best option. Sarah typed in the chat too. She said, we do pretty much everything like Karen said, except we haven't brought our toys out yet. So.
the other thing we do is we lock our bathrooms. We have one bathroom available. It sounds crazy, but the men's, we've made it family friendly, and it has a stall and a urinal and a baby changing station. Unless of course we're having like story time or kids or an event or people. But we have them pick up the key, so we know who comes and goes, and we know that then once they're done, we clean it, and then clean the stall and clean the things and sanitize it, so the next person that gets it has a clean bathroom. So that helps us. And we've had people do that at the last minute and had to come back the next morning and clean it. So yeah.
Okay. So does that help, Sharon?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, great. Okay, and now last but not least, of course, is programming and story time. And I imagine Mary will have some input on this as well. So what's going on with story time and with programs? Who would like to start us off?
I'll just say that I think that it's fairly easy with story times, because I know that even Crystal has told me that at the school they're doing like yoga mats. So it's been a lot of years that we've used little carpet squares. I mean, you can use little silicone pads. Those are very, they're not that expensive. They can spread those out so that families can still sit together. You just, do the 6 feet between. I know that not every library will have as much space as perhaps Goodland, and they have a nice big room, so they're pretty fortunate. But I think that a lot of things they're trying to do outside versus doing them inside. They are using a meeting room versus, using where you used to do for a story time. I think that all of our public libraries have been very creative and have done a great job this summer. So I don't think there were any spikes. There weren't any problems. So I'd say it was a success, if that's how we're gauging things. So yay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I don't know what's going on with my microphone. But like I said, at the story time, or at our, I'm sorry, at our board meeting, we decided, wait a few weeks into school just to see how that goes before we start. So we're looking, into September, maybe beginning of October. We talked about, markers and all that, having little kits that if we have markers, everybody gets a set of their own markers. If we need, glue, everybody gets their own glue stick. Everybody gets a set of their own crowns instead of just using the community bucket that we have. We also thought, well, we can always add in more because we don't have a huge meeting room. We could always add in more story times in the morning instead of just the, the 2 that we have for preschoolers. That's what we've discussed. Like I said, though, I think we're kind of just seeing how the school, if there's any outbreaks at school or, so that we don't all of a sudden, we start one week and then have to shut down the next week.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. A lot of good ideas there.
But yeah, that's what we're doing. And like Mary said, maybe using carpet squares and instead of them all just sitting gathered around me, have this spaced out.
I would probably purchase those little silicone ones though, because you can even, I know this sounds strange, but they have like little, silicone, like jar openers. It doesn't matter what you're using, but I think that would be easier to throw into a, cleaning bucket afterwards. So I probably would stay away from the carpet square just so you wouldn't have to do those, but something silicone or, probably is the best.
Very good.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can
Yes.
you?
Yep.
I don't know what's good. I was talking and I don't think anybody was hearing me. But yeah, that's a good idea, not to use the carpet because easier to clean if you use something that you can wipe down.
Yep. Right. So
I guess our unique situation in Storytime is we have let's see, how shall I say this? We have families that, like, one of them is getting ready to celebrate 9th baby. And so, like, when that family comes and their cousins come and another one's cousins come, we can have 25 people with 3 families there. And they're like I said, they're cousins, so technically I guess they could be considered family. So how do you find that middle ground of, hey, so kind of show some spacing, even though we've got now 35 or however many here at Storytime. So
well, and if they're that close to families, then they're probably doing it outside of the library. They're probably getting together as family and
they are.
such.
They have the whole time, I think.
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry so much about that.
And I would say that that's not your responsibility. If you say that they can stay as a family group, then you're not responsible. I would still have anyone else from them distanced. And if they're
Yeah,
taking up
that's
the
what
entire,
that's what we try our best.
yeah.
And like you say, and that's one of those situations where, yes, on those days that, and some of them, I think probably most of them are homeschooled. So obviously, parents tend to come with them when that happens. So it's very easy to still kind of try to keep a distance on some of them. It's just unique that we have still not
Yeah.
good numbers. It's just families are limited.
Right.
Well, and I think sometimes that, I mean, that's the responsibility of the family. I mean, if you come in and there's 25 kids and you don't want your kids to be around them, then I mean, then you leave.
Mhm.
Because I don't know that we can always control everyone.
That's what we kind of run into, I think, as far as, and in general, it's like, hey, if you're not feeling comfortable, don't come in.
Right,
We
and
can
we've
do
had
other
that with people come
options to
in.
kind of either get you books or hook you up with Hoopla or whatever. So
Yeah,
So Karen, are you still doing your book discussion group?
yes,
Okay.
we're still
And how
having
are-
book club, and then we're starting in the fall with the KHC, yeah.
Okay. And how's that working?
Anyway, we have it planned, and of course with, it could be that we may have to go virtual with that, but right now we're planning on it.
Okay. Excellent. So it sounds like programming and story times are still just kind of moving forward and okay. Any other questions, comments, thoughts about story time and programming? Okay, any other questions about COVID and libraries in the future?
I think most of it comes down to we have to be flexible like we have always been. It's just a little bit more flexible or flexible in a different aspect, and adjust with the times. It's, you just have to kind of go with, like we obviously here in Sharon Springs may have a little bit different than say what Norton would have or things like that that are a hot spot, and just adjust to whatever we feel is best for our patrons.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, we don't have any cases right now, so I don't think we're a hot spot, thank goodness. So we're good.
You were for a while anyway.
I know, 28, that was like a hot spot, so.
Cases just in the Northwest Kansas, 12 counties. I don't even think there's actually even a dozen active cases right now, if that many. It's probably less in the whole 12 counties right now. But other things, in programming and stuff, I guess would be our digital resources and how much we can promote that right now to all of our patrons. And we've seen such an increase anyway, but whatever we have to provide through Sunflower, Hoopla, and then also what the state library has to provide to be able to reach out to our patrons and just help them out in their time of isolation at some point.
Two things I wanted to say. Dave, could you speak a little bit on that electronic digital library card information? Because it seems like it's more than just Hoopla and e whatever. And then the second thing that I would probably open up to, I guess, everybody is, are we adjusting a little bit to more homeschoolers, and what can we provide them?
Sorry, allergies been crazy today. The digital resource card that we promoted earlier back in March and stuff, this is more for the patrons that are not already patrons of your library and that haven't got a card or need a card, and all of the ones that applied. We even had some outside of our area, but I've had a couple out of Gove County, and they're active users now for that, which have not been part because they're not automated and stuff, so they didn't have access to cards. but I think I have, let me see if I have that pulled up. But in reality, we want to reach the ones that do not have library cards and get that, because if they have a library card, of course, they've got access to all of that stuff through the library. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 14 active users out of 40 people that applied. Only 14 I issued cards to because they did not have a library card in any one of the libraries in the system. And then we've issued some to the Colby College as well, and there's 4 there. So roughly 42 that have applied, and we have only about 12 to 14 active cards. And over the last 3 months, I think there's only been 3 that have actually been used.
Okay, I just wasn't for sure if it got people more than what, say, a normal library card or Hoopla or e-library would get, or if we're just missing something.
No, they get all the same resources that your patrons do with the state library card, because I'll issue them a state library card, and then I use that number as their digital library card that they could sign up with Hoopla and Sunflower with. So they don't get anything more special than what your current patrons do.
So the person that would be most likely to get that would be a college student or someone just passing through kind of thing? Or a temporary coming in?
What do you think, George? How would you say it?
I would say that it would be basically anybody. If you've got people that live out in the country that don't come to the library, but they want to have access to the resources and don't want to, deal with going to the library, then they could get a card that way. So really, it could be for anybody.
But we did put the stipulation that they have to reside within the county's
The region.
Yeah, the region. And like I said, I check the databases. Once they give me the information, I check the databases and make sure they currently don't have a library card. If they do, I email them back and they say, hey, you currently have a library card. You can access all these resources with this right now. And I check to see if they have a state library card, and if it's expired, I reactivate it, and then I send them their card number back to them and say, here you go, here's your numbers, and away you can go. Instead of issuing a whole nother number to them that, so they're doubled up, I just say, hey, did you know you had this, and give them their information, and then the way they go with it.
And if they don't have a card, we're hoping that we can share with them that, okay, here's your card. Now you can go to the public library and look at all the resources that are available there as well. So we're trying to lead them that way, using this as a gateway drug to get into libraries, right? Okay, anything else?
I was just curious as if anybody's creating special programs or putting together informational packets for homeschoolers, either new or veteran homeschoolers.
I think what we did was, like, on our Facebook page, is we put a lot of resources, but if they're going to choose to do homeschooling through their district, then that's going to be up to them and their district. I mean, I think that the libraries can certainly, help with that, but I don't think it would really be the libraries.
Well, that's what I meant. For myself, I worry it's like, am I getting it out to all the patrons and specifically the homeschoolers of what's available through the state library, or
Right.
that,
Yeah.
hey, we can interlibrary loan books from
Mhm.
other libraries,
Right.
or that, hey, Mary's got these really cool kits that if you
Mhm.
use them in the library, we would be
Yeah.
glad to
Yeah, yeah, I
Borrow
think
the
that's
foyer,
all you can
those
do
types
is
of things.
promote. Yeah, I think that what you can do is promote and just tell them all the resources that are available. But as far as, I mean, I wouldn't want them to be relying on you to create some
No,
packets or
that's
to,
not what I meant. I just didn't
oh,
know
okay.
if
I
they were
was like,
aware
oh,
of
no,
all
don't
the
be doing
things that
that.
we could do that. No, I'm not going to homeschool anymore.
Yeah. No, you don't want to take on that beast. So, but I would just say, yeah, I try to share, and I'll be doing that much more like we've been working on, so that now we're gonna, we've had Instagram, but not as much. So I'll try to put things now that will directly go from our Facebook page to our Instagram. And so, yeah, we're just trying to put as many links, and I'll do the same thing that I did back in March when everything started to happen, because we helped out a great deal of the schools then as well, just by, there's the story walk here, and, there's this available. So just trying to let them know everything that they could use as resources. So I don't know much more than that than we can do, but I think that's probably the best way to, and you can promote it at the library, or yourself, just putting up, we do have like the Wonder Books. We have promotional things that we sent out to all of you guys. So I would put that stuff out there. That's the best I could say, is just having the stuff out there. And if they access it, they access it. So.
Okay. Anything else? Well, thank you everybody for participating. I will put the recording of this up on our website. And if we have any other questions besides the one that I have here that I'm going to send out to some other folks and see if anybody else has some wonderful information to share on that, Karen. But if you have any other questions, please definitely email us and let us know. We appreciate everybody being here. And
I think that Mary's just joining us from Waukene, so we'll let her know that there is a recording, so that she won't miss out on that. Welcome, Mary. Sorry.
Hi, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.